Right, ready. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast. I'm not sure if this title fits right now, but I, I didn't want to do this video, and I'm sure you three lads didn't want to do it either. But the time has come. It's not what we're expected. I think we've all been pretty confident that this takeover was going to go through until the last couple of days. So just to quickly go through this, lads, I don't want to spend too much time on this one. We've all got lives outside of this one, but I felt as if it was necessary to put something out. Start with you, Mark. What's your thoughts on this afternoon, mate? This news that's just been released.
It's absolutely devastating, really, isn't it? We've just hung on for over 4 months, waiting, just in hope that we were going to finally, as Newcastle fans, get some good news after this turgid ownership that we've had to endure, and the dream is once more dead.
Yeah. Or to you, Jack, mate, anything else to add to that?
Not really, mate. He's covered it. Really, it's just crushing. It's absolutely crushing. I think because we've never been this far along the process, and it was with the Premier League, and it wasn't just like, of course, it was someone buying the club, but it was the opportunity of really going to the next level, and I think that's why it hurts even more. It's a really sad day, to be honest. It's really shit. Like,
yeah. To you, Emil, like I said there in our WhatsApp group, I think the last couple of days, I think it might have actually been Decker that said his percentage had dropped quite massively, because we weren't really hearing any updates or anything like that. And how do we go from here, mate? How do we move on from having that carrot dangled in front of us to it all being ripped away in a blink of an eye, mate?
Oh, bloody hell. I mean, we've never been this far along, as Decker said. I'm thinking back to the takeover last season. Where did we go from there? We went from there to losing Rafa Benitez to then getting Steve Bruce and then having this entire season. So I think, unfortunately, we do have to grin and bear it. We really do have to just take another one on the chin. Dare I tap into the positivity that we've seen from Leeds in the last few weeks? I watched a video about their rise from League One, and whilst I know that we are by no means in dire straits like they were, you just have to try and keep your head up. And to go back to that banner that we saw, you never give up on your club.
Yeah, you're right, mate. You're completely right. I think what a lot of people are struggling with now is that we were all under the impression if this deal was going to get rejected or cancelled in any way whatsoever, would have heard it long before now. So I think, over you, Mark, coming to the point where they've literally pulled the plug on this, we haven't heard anything in regard to the Premier League rejecting it as of yet. It might still be the case. Where the Saudis were expecting that news, and likes of Stavely, the Reuben brothers were as well. It's just the way it's been taken away, isn't it? The fact that their statement reads that the time was taken far too long to get this over and done with, and the current things which are happening across the world, the pandemic that's going on, and obviously businesses dropping left, right, and centre. It's the way it's been taken away from, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the statements that have came out from, obviously there was a joint statement that came out when the news broke, that they're withdrawn, and then there's been subsequent little bits of snippets from the Reuben brothers have put things out on their Twitter account. Amanda Staveley's husband's been tweeting about it as well, and it just looks like that every kind of challenge that the Premier League have put in front of them, they've came up with an answer for and done it. Every kind of hoop that they've jumped through it for them. The piracy issue, that's been referenced, and they've talked about that they didn't think it was an issue, but they resolved it. Then talked about the fact that they want to actually some from PIF as a director. They did that. That was happening. So they've done everything in their power that they can to allow this to go out. And it just seems to me that from pressure from other Premier League teams, because again, there's been teams that have been named that have objected to the sale of the club going through. The fact that beIN have been so vocal in the fact that they have the rights to the Premier League out in the Middle East. It just seems like all of this pressure has been building up on the Premier League. They can't find a genuine reason to knock the bid back. We've known that from day one, looking at the owners and directors test, that there's nothing in there really that would give them a genuine reason to knock the takeover back. So they've just basically dragged the feet and allowed time to run out, and it's meant that the investment have just walked away, because what more can they do?
Yeah, I'm under the same impression of you, mate, in regards to the Premier League dragging the heels on that one. Or do you have anything else to add to that, Degger, or are you in the same boat as us?
I don't actually cover that very well, Mark. No, I feel exactly
everything, mate.
I feel exactly the same as him in regards to, I think that the Premier League just didn't have the balls to reject it, because the lawsuit that they would have on their hands, or the retaliation, would be huge. So they've done exactly that. They've thought, we'll just sit it out and wait until, obviously, there has to become a stage where then we'll pull out. And unfortunately, that's exactly what it is. It's time that's failed this. Because obviously, as Mark's rightly said, there was nothing there that they could actually hang the hat on to fail it. So they've just decided just to go, we'll not give you an answer either way. And unfortunately, them have had to pull the plug, which is tragic. It's absolutely tragic. It's shocking.
Yeah. The last 24 hours, though, I just want to highlight on this one, Emil. Apparently, Saudi Arabia and PIF were trying to fight against the WTO ruling, which they first originally came out and said that it went in their favour. I know, obviously, Qatar being sport had other thoughts and ideas on that one, and rightly so. Do you think that we're finally getting bits of the jigsaw here, and they're all finding the way back together, and it might be a case where the Premier League were ready to reject this?
I mean, I was just thinking about when Mark was talking there. I think I would feel a lot better if the Premier League come out and say that they were going to reject this anyway. I think, like you said, it is the manner in which that we've found out about this, that those who were willing to buy us have then gone, right, keep our money, sod you, when all we wanted in this was a bit of ambition. We didn't care how much money. We just want to be on the right track. I think we'll start seeing bits and bobs. I know Mark said about teams that have gone against this anyway, but at the same time, what do we know? You know, what have we seen? We can't see any truth in anything. We call everything else a bunch of lies. We've just been tossed and turned around in this storm of the geopolitics, things that in my life I would never understand or even take notice of. Like, I didn't know all of the history between Qatar. It's just, I feel like getting out of this now is probably for the best, because it was getting messy. It was getting too messy for my liking.
Yeah, we started to go down a rabbit hole, really, didn't we?
Oh, it was just it's horrible to even think about what it would have been like. And you know, we've had that many battles with certain journalists over the last few weeks. Some who are in favour, some who've not been in favour, some who've not been in favour for the correct reasons. Let's not get away from it. But the way that we've been targeted as well, and now we've almost been used by both sides, I'm glad to be out of that side of it, if this does mean the end for the Newcastle United Kingdom of Saudi Arabia relationship.
Mm-hmm. So jumping over at you, Decker, just have your say on this one. We weren't just hopeful of what they would bring to us as a football club in the future for the football club. It was also what they would possibly bring to the area and the community, similar to what we've seen at Man City. And that itself, looking from the outside in, forget everything to do with Newcastle United and how good of a club we could have became or gone back to in the previous years. What they could have done for this region in this area would have been phenomenal, and that's heartbreaking to me.
Absolutely spot on, mate. You know, when you think of it outside of football, it's probably even larger, really, isn't it? It's probably a bigger thing that we've lost. I know they were going to try and put money into to the NHS and stuff, the hospitals. Can you even imagine the businesses that would have been created and stuff like that would have been opened, jobs that would have been secured? It's tragic on so many levels, and I know we obviously, of course, we're devastated because it's the football. I get what you're saying, and that's our number one. But to think of what the area could have been like, and the city could have been thriving, not just on a football or a sports point of view. We're talking about employment, we're talking about jobs. It's just a really tragic thing overall, that for me.
Yeah. So
That's
Mark,
it. That had 250 million pound lined up to invest in the local area. You've just got to look at Man City to see what the owners there have done, not just for the club but for the surrounding area, for the whole of it. Manchester, was a big city and always on people's lips anyway. But you now know of Manchester for more reasons than just Manchester United. Manchester City, it's more than just football that they've been able to have an impact on, bringing in investment and that kind of thing. It would have been huge. This area is, as we well know, is one of the most deprived in the countries. So to lose out on 250 million pounds worth of investment in the local area, let alone the football club, is just absolutely disgraceful.
Anything else to add on that one, Emil?
I mean, yeah, I don't know if you were saying that I was just focusing on the football there. I mean, of course, but I think that as it's gone on over weeks, I've tried my best to not get swept up into either side's propaganda. It's been a really tough one for me to get my head around in particular, especially with all of the other things that are flying around my head during lockdown. I think it couldn't have come at a worse time mentally for a lot of fans. And I know that a lot of people have been saying that about mental health and how it's been affected by this. But I think that I still feel as though I will be happier knowing that Newcastle United aren't tainted by certain factors that would have been running around with us. You hear from the Man City fans who are still getting chased by it. And I know that a lot of people say that we don't care where it comes from. But if this means that Mike Ashley is very much done with the club and is still looking to sell, if it goes to a buyer who doesn't have a history of murderous regimes in the past, I think I will rest a little bit easier. I'm trying to look at some silver linings here.
Does it worry you a little bit? Because it worries me that Mike Ashley, it's clear that he wants rid of this club. Does it worry you a little bit now of who he might sell this club to?
Totally. I mean, I've been against having an American owner anyway. So when Henry Mauras's name came into it as well, and others in the past who haven't been able to stump it up, I've been worried. I've been totally worried the entire time. And I know that it seemed too good to be true that we were going to suddenly become the richest club in the world. But I'd be mad to say that it hasn't been in the back of my mind about what we would be like seen as by the rest of the world. I never want my club to be a target like that again. And I know that we are certainly not in the best place with Mike Ashley, but I'd rather have us shouting at his working conditions than I would with everything that was going to come with it. I felt sick by maybe 6th or 7th week. It got worse and worse for me, and I know it's sad how it's ending, but
what's your thoughts on him? Obviously Ashley's always said that he'd only sell the club to someone that could move it forward. Do you believe that? Do you think that's
Not
right?
Mate.
No, because I'm like that. I'm like that. Yeah, I think that now that this has happened, we might just get any cowboy in. And I don't want to start saying about battle the devil, because I know a lot of people hate that saying, but
there's a big owners and directors test, Decker, which they have to pass. So you might think that it's as watertight as it comes now. So that's my only saving grace here, is that anyone who comes at Newcastle now, if it can take down a country of Saudi Arabia who had that amount of money, they can take down any Tom, Dick or Harry who can come in for Newcastle now. So I still believe that Mike Ashley knows his business enough to say this guy's not for them. This guy's just pulling our legs. Part of me feels like there will be serious bidders out there. We've heard of like the Kenyan bid and stuff like that, and the first Staveley bid. I don't know.
I think the issue with the reason why this one hurts, and I think we've just touched on it before, is that I agree that you may get someone in who's the nicest guy in the world. It's the level of where we could go. Where I have a horrible feeling that we may get someone in now who's a great person and great business morals and all the rest of it, but he's almost just another Ashley. Where he's got a bit of money and he might put a little bit more in, but it was that sheer feeling of actually going here. Which I think
it's like we were ready to win the lottery, wasn't it? It's like we had literally purchased that lottery ticket, and we were going to get told that we had a 99% chance of going and picking that jackpot up, and the last minute that's just getting taken away from you.
Yeah,
I think that all of these thoughts though come from the place that we are just at rock bottom now. And that's the worst part of this. We're at rock bottom, but yet we're not at rock bottom because we've still got further to go because there's still more to come under Ashley. It always feels like that. I still firmly believe that it would be. I think Mike Ashley's the only Mike Ashley that could ever really run a Premier League club the way he has. Every other one is just taken teams down and things have been improved since then, like Leeds and Hull and other teams that Sunderland, for example. The people who are just willing to just let the clubs rot. I still think that the owners and directors test is good to stop people coming and doing that.
Do you think, on the back of that, Mark, Emil mentioned the owners and directors test, do you think now that it's been massively highlighted the troubles that Saudi Arabia were going to have to pass it to easily seal through what we thought, looking at the start yet, do you think in the coming weeks and months you'll see a huge change on what is involved in that test? Mark?
Absolutely, it has to be. It's evident that they didn't want our bid to succeed, and they didn't want them to own the club. So they have to therefore make changes to their owners and directors tests, so that if anybody comes in the future with a similar offer or a similar background, that they have a cast iron guarantee of a way out, and that they can categorically just say, here it is under rule X, Y, and Z. This is the reason why you can't take over this club. Because as we've mentioned time and time again, as every expert out there has mentioned time and time again, there's no reason in those current documents as to why that they shouldn't be getting accepted.
Yeah, Decker, we're what, 5-6 weeks away from the start of the season now. Does that worry you, concern you slightly that we're going into this on a failed takeover, and with Mike Ashley still in charge, who's got no interest apparently?
Could it be any worse? Honestly, could it be any worse? I mean, in terms of, all right, yes, some people might say, well, we're still starting the Premier League and stuff like that, but you have to remember that we have notoriously been a very slow club at acting on things and doing our business. We've been very, very slow. We've now, as you've said, got 5 to 6 weeks before the beginning of the season. We've got an owner who thought he was going to be out of the building. It could not be getting off yet of a worse start for me. The money that I've been hearing, that, I mean, of course, I don't know this factually. I'm just saying what I've read. 35 million, I think, was the transfer kitty. My God, that's not enough. That is nowhere
getting that extra 17 million that he's just pocketed now.
No, probably not. Of course, it's absolutely tragic. Like, I don't want to be. I don't know how this is going to sound stupid here, but I don't want to be too negative because of the fact that there is still players at this club who I think do care. Like, so I know I'm seeing loads of people going, well, what's the point of even going? Who cares anymore? We've got nothing. But Jamal Lascelles, St. Maximum, Almiron, I find that's very unfair on them, if I'm being honest with you. And I would still think them will be coming to try, because I'd be the first to criticise if the players didn't come and try. So I don't want to go down that route too much. But yes, of course, looking at it from fresh now, it does look shocking that we've only got 6 weeks to somehow try and get this season underway in a positive way, and I find it very difficult to think how that's going to happen, if I'm honest.
Yeah, just to put it out there before we
positives around that.
Hang on a second, Mark. Just before we'll keep on chatting for the next 10 minutes, I'll open it up to some questions. So if people want to start sending some questions in, we'll quickly go through them. So send them across now, and I'll pick a handful out before we go. What are you going to say, Mark?
I was just going to say that the only positive thing around that is there's been a lot of noise in the press over the last week or two around the fact that it is business usual at the club in the absence of a decision being made, and there had been talk between Bruce and Ashley allegedly in the last week, where Bruce has talked about the fact that he's identified targets and stuff like that. So although apparently it came as a surprise to the club as well today, and that they found out about it being pulled out through Sky Sports News, it does sound that they have at least kind of try to do something to get us into a position where we are ready to start the season. As to how true that is, we can only see in the coming weeks. But yeah, having 6 weeks before now when the season is a worry.
I think I take the point what you're saying there. I think we've heard this so many times before that the manager's had communication with the owner and laid out targets, and then them targets just don't happen. Do you know what I mean? Or he thinks should spend money somewhere else, and do you know what I mean? That's just I think it just
Yeah.
goes on deaf ears eventually, that type of story.
I was just going to make a point there and say that not to please do not think that I am at all excusing this disastrous regime for Newcastle, but one of the benefits that we have seen, I know that maybe we haven't gone for the targets that we specifically as fans wanted. I know there was all of that talk of Jared Bowen, but then it turned out the club didn't even want him. Steve Bruce, for some reason, is able to get something out of Ashley. If we were in this position with Benitez, because of that relationship that they had, we could possibly have been a worse position. I know Benitez would obviously make us play a lot better, but we saw Sam Maximan come in, we saw Joe Linton come in, we saw that they needed to do something to get people on side, and that happened with the free season tickets. If anyone's knee-jerk when the fans are really going, and if a lot of fans are ready to walk away, then maybe we'll see a reaction from the club which says, right, please come back because we need you. And I still think we could be in worse positions. I think that the reaction to the end of Project Restart has blown a lot of things massively out of proportion. Players on the beach, players that are knackered, players that have played that many games in a short space of time. We played all right at the start of Project Restart. We saw some amazing games. Bournemouth, Sheffield United, even the draws, we did all right until it all went to pot against Man City. And if a few bad decisions against Man City are the worst part of it, then I still think that there is worse positions. I just think right now it will feel amplified because of the situation we're in.
Right, just to jump into some questions, starting with you, Mark. Marty Lawrence has sent in, was Kevin Keegan right all those years ago when he said that the club is cursed?
It certainly feels like it, doesn't it? I'm a year or two older than you guys. Not as old as Metro Marty, but we've seen some absolute calamities in the time that we've followed this club, and yes, we've had some moments of brightness, but you just think of a club of this size with the fan base that we've got, the players that we've had in the past, that you just think we should be capable of so much more, and that's the big thing. And again, I'll bring him up. Rafa bought into that, and that was the dream that he had. Keegan certainly had it as well. Bobby Robson had it. We've got that passion there from a fan base and for people that understand the club. The big worry is the person that is at the top of that ladder, who owns the purse strings to the club, doesn't share that passion and doesn't share that belief.
So moving on to the next one there for you, Decker. We'll get sent in. This one is, what is breaking point for you as a fan?
I seen this one pop up, and I was the first one my eyes got drawn to when you fucking picked it. It's a hard one because I don't want to sound too cliche here, but like I can't imagine not going. That's honestly how I feel, and I get that people say, well, you're thick and you're stupid and you should be, doing the talking with your feet and all the rest of it. But like, if I'm devastated, I am absolutely devastated. I really am. But the thought of not going back to the games or not supporting the club anymore, that just isn't on my radar. Like, it's just not. I don't know. I don't know.
I think for me to answer this one, just looking at this from a different point of view, a lot of people, when Rafa left, walked. We saw that, hence the 10,000 free season tickets. I think right now, this is pretty low for me. This is at a point now where I'm thinking, what is the point me going next season? Like, what is the point? And we said earlier in the week when we first recorded on Monday night, saying that the only reason we've been tuning into games and watching games and attending games this season was because of Saint and what he was bringing to the team. So that's a huge worry for me. And under Mike Ashley, and I know he's not to blame for this one. Of course not. It's not necessarily his fault that this has fallen through. But this is a very, very low point for me as a Newcastle fan under Mike Ashley right now, because we've got that tiny little glimpse that he might be going and we had a bright future ahead of it. And right now, I know it's knee-jerk reaction and things like that, but right now, I can't see a future. I really can't.
I agree with that. I can't see, like, you know for a fact that it's going to be 13th down over for the rest of our time, right? That's what we kind of know that. There's going to be no ambition there. Would you say, do you feel that it's worse than going down when we got relegated? Either of them times, do you feel the same now, or? or do you feel? I don't know.
My fear of going down is bigger than anything. I really, because we've said it before, if we go down to the Championship now, especially in the state we're in, and I know it could happen, then that's my biggest worry.
Yeah.
As long as we're in the Premier League, we're okay, and I'll take finishing mid-table if it means not going back down to there, because we've seen it too many times. These teams who think they can go down there and rebuild and haven't done it.
Yeah, you've just got to look down the road, don't you? Go 12 miles down the road.
Don't look right now, though.
See what could happen.
Don't look right now. They're enjoying this too much.
Yeah, that's a tough question. That one. It's a tough question.
It is, mate. I think everybody's got different breaking points. They really have. But right now, like I was saying, this is probably the closest I've ever felt. Like it really is. And I think it's just a carry on of what we've had from last year with Rafa leaving and Mike Ashley not showing that ambition. What Benitez wanted, not even a fraction of that, mate.
Yeah.
Then obviously the back of this hard hitting news today. I'm just quickly going to go through a couple of more.
I was just going to say, I think the big thing is the fact that there's a lot of people that are on 10-year deals will run out this season.
2 year, I think I've got 2 years left or something, mate.
Well, I think the first lot run out after this season, and then the one that, because mine does as well. I've got 2 years left on mine, so I think that whatever happens around the next season will have a huge impact onto that. Because if we have a situation where we're struggling in the league, dicing around the bottom of it, we've saw people walk away before when we've had these kind of battles when we weren't feeling as low as this, because we had a little bit of hope there. Right now, as you've just said, Chris, that hope has just been drawn out of us. And as Emil said, we're feeling very, very low at the minute. We need to bounce back. It's as simple as that.
There'll be thousands of now. There'll be absolutely thousands.
So on the back of that, this question leads quite into it. With bouncing back, what brings positivity back right now as a fan? Like, is anything to be positive about?
The video that we recorded last night.
Yes. Great.
Yeah.
I mean, God. Look, can I just say we met? I'm glad you said that, Mark, because I was about to say we were in what we felt was the worst position we could ever be in last season. So much so that we all wrote ourselves off. We thought we were going to go down. We didn't, and I know that is still not acceptable for many fans. But God, like, look at the Premier League. I know Sheffield United are up there right now, and I know that the whole Southampton quotes have come out, but. Again, I go back to my point of being like, I'm happy to be in the Premier League. Sometimes I'm just happy with that because it means that we can survive. It means that we don't get like the piss ripped out of us. And you know, we talked about those moments. We talked about those special moments. And I know I'm about to say Matty Longstaff here, but that game, Almiron, the players who care for the club, as you said, Chris, the last minute win against Chelsea, those won't just disappear because this takeover has disappeared. Steve Bruce still wants to try and keep his job, no matter how safe it is for the time being, because Pardew eventually went. All managers have their time, but Steve Bruce is there now, and he's going to be fighting to try and make sure that he's got a chance at this. He probably thought his job was gone a few weeks ago. So if this means that he thinks, right, I'm going to go to Ashley with some targets, then cool. But all I'm saying is, though, next season there will be those moments, but I don't think that we will. I still don't think that we'll end up as bad as like a team that's going to come up. I think there will always be a few worse teams.
Yeah. So jumping to you on this one, Mark. David Harrison says, "What do you think about the reports that Ashley was trying to renegotiate the deal?" So there's rumours that the time frame had run out for the price which was agreed. Mike Ashley may have been trying to shift the goalpost once again. Is that concerning for you, or is that just rumours?
No, I think the fact that we know that a deal had been agreed, there was a contract signed, all the parties agreed to it. Yes, the news came out that the time had run out, which allowed the investment fund to walk away. But there's no way that they would be sitting right now if Mike Ashley had done that and keeping quiet on it. You can guarantee in the statements that the Reuben brothers have made, in the statements that have came out from Amanda Staveley through a couple of different sources, there would be reference to that. every reference that they have made has been around the Premier League clubs, and having to jump through too many hoops to get it done. And the fact that we found ourselves in the middle of a global pandemic at the time that this was all happening.
Yeah, I don't believe that at all. Like, I don't believe Ashley tried to do anything. I think the bottom line is it hasn't happened but it's not that reason. Like, I think that's just another thing. We'll have to be very careful here as well in the coming days here. The stuff we're going to see on social media from sources and reports and stuff, we'll be very, very careful here of what people run to the hills.
So on the back of that, David Eddy there says that he doesn't believe it, and that basically they're trying to divert the blame back over to Ashley, when really, like we said at the very start, it could be a case where they were prepared to feel this, and they wanted to pull the plug before that news and that decision was made public.
The mad thing for me is now that, as you say, Chris, there's going to be a lot on social media, which is why I've just completely taken leave of it for the next few days. I can't be done with negativity anyway when it's on there, because it just drags muddy feet through my head, which I'm not a fan of. But you know, we spent weeks being told not to believe what journalists were saying. We were told weeks to say, "Oh, don't believe what they're saying. They're just saying that." Oh, what does he know? What does he know? I mean, Luke Edwards was almost taken out by many fans for suggesting that the takeover was in doubt, and lo and behold, here we are. We don't know who's got the right story. We've not got Amanda Stavely doing a public interview. She might do one when we actually get the full story, and you know, it's probably going to fall to our most trusted journalists to do that. And I would say that a lot of journalists who said that this was definitely going to happen are going to have to do that investigating. But to have stuff that they knew weeks ago that it wasn't happening, and you know, to have this entire thing of Mike Ashley moving the goalpost, I think we've heard that so many times, and maybe it'll come out in a year's time like we heard with the BZG one and the other ones that Mike Ashley's cocked it up. It's just.
So we've had another comment there from Mark there saying that Stevie's actually came out now and said that Mike Ashley's not to blame for anything, and he's been held throughout. So I'm not sure how true that is, because obviously we've been recording. But yeah, lads, I said we weren't going to go on long on this one. It's been just over half an hour there, and we'll go and let everybody enjoy the Thursday night. And all that we can say now is try and work through it, try and push through it. Of course, it's flat at the minute. It is. I completely understand that. All four of us are in the same boat now. You should have saw from what we did last night. We had a great night last night where we hosted our end of season awards.
It's going to be good, that as well.
It is. The video itself.
If anything's going to lift anyone, that's going to be the one.
It is something to look forward to if you're a fan of the channel and the things that we do. And we had a great night, but it just shows you the highs and lows of being a Newcastle United fan, because we done a 2.5 hour recording last night, and it was probably one of the best
less than 24
videos.
hours later.
Yeah, probably one of the best videos we've ever done, and 24 hours on, and we're sat in a position now where we're all just as deflated as each other. We're in the same boat as yous, and hopefully fingers crossed that this will give somebody else a chance to bid for the club, and
I can't
done a big sigh.
Just can't take that, you know, the whole thing of all that.
I was just going to say, I still think Mike Ashley is willing to sell Newcastle United, and I know that we're saying that it might not happen, but Decker, absolutely. I mean, you'd take the nicest man in the world who's maybe not going to be as good, but I think at this point now we would take most anyone. We'd take absolutely anyone, and I would in a heartbeat. And I mean,
I'll take you in charge of the club, Emil. I'll take you in charge.
Let's do it. I'm looking at the stadium right now. I'm already thinking about how you can rebuild the Gallagher. Let's do it. But seriously, my message to the fans just right now, hear me now. I've said it on Twitter for days now and weeks. We've been saying to the Premier League, this has affected my mental health. The only thing that's going to affect people's mental health now is sitting and reading all of the reasons why this hasn't worked. If you want to walk away from the club, do as you wish. But don't attack someone else for making that decision. If you want to hope that another takeover is happening, don't call that person stupid for thinking it might happen. A lot of us can still have hope, and that's the problem with this. The factions, the lines that get drawn by Newcastle fans constantly. You're stupid for believing the takeover is going to happen. Oh, you're stupid for supporting Saudi Arabia. Oh, you're stupid for thinking it's going to get called off in a few weeks. You're stupid for taking aim at them. That is what affects us. We are our own worst enemy. And we have to take this as a mentality that some Premier Leagues have voted against us. We've got the Premier League who seemingly rejected us and everything else that went with it. It's we can be stronger as a result of this. We have to be.
What I want to say on the back of what you just said there, Emil, as well, that be kind to people. There's a lot of people on YouTube, a lot of people on social media that, of course, they've been a positive as what we have, that this takeover will go through. These people, and I know there's a few of them out there that do podcasts just like us. They wanted the best for the club, so it's not their fault that this is ended the way it has. So don't target them. Everybody wanted this takeover go through. Everyone saw a bright future. So just be kind. Be kind. It's not our fault. It's not the fans' fault. We're all in this shit position together.
Don't ever give up on your club.
Right, lads. Thank you very much. And
I'm good.
that was done.
Sorry.
I'm good at you now.
I really am. But anyway, take care, everyone. Nice.
See you later, lads. What you guys doing?
Good night, everyone.
See you. Bye-bye.